Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. Mr. Frank Warmer out here in Riyadh. It's 40 degrees outside, but it's a bit chilly inside. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, young man?
I'm good. Just excited for the week ahead. I've got to ask you initially, you've obviously been involved in a lot of big fights. Me personally, the buzz I've got from this fight week is better than what I've experienced before. So I want to know from your example, where does this rank?
It's the biggest. 4 belts on the line. Biggest fight this century. We're going to find out who's the number 1 heavyweight in the world. It's a very rich fight financially for a British boxer. It's the biggest fight a British boxer's ever been involved with, and what's at stake. That's how big it is.
Everyone's talked about His Excellency's involvement and obviously the key role he's played in getting these big events together. I'm just curious, if he wasn't ever involved, where do you think boxing would be right now? Would you and Eddie Hearn still be having back and forwards?
I'm sure we still wouldn't be speaking. I'm sure of that. There's no doubt about that. Fights would still be happening, but they're not. But these fights are happening quickly. They're being made to happen because of His Excellency's vision and the way that this is done through the Riyadh season, the financing of the events, the planning that goes into it. I mean, the videos, everything about these shows are big. The undercards, nobody could put undercards on like this. These are phenomenal shows. This is the best of the best, and that is down to His Excellency, his team, Riyadh season, the King, the Crown Prince, and Saudi Arabia. That's a fact of life. Saudi Arabia is the boxing capital of the world now.
It sure is. And hypothetical question for you. Obviously, there's a lot of fights in the past that we may have missed out on between your promotion and Eddie's promotion. Is there any that have slipped through the net that obviously the fight is retired? You wish His Excellency got involved earlier, or somebody from Saudi Arabia got involved?
I'm not sure. I can't. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of it. But I can think of fights that never happened years ago. Like Riddick Bowe never fought Lennox Lewis. There's quite a few fights down the road that didn't happen. But this is happening, and that's all we need to focus on.
The headbutt incident, obviously it's been sorted now. The guy's 30 years old, not as 15 as some people have been trying to say. I spoke to him yesterday. He's actually 30 years old. He's ex-military, and he's got a lot of life experience, but he just obviously was on the wrong end of a headbutt. But do you think how much of an impact that will make to the pay-per-view buys for this event? How much of an impact will that make?
I don't think it will. Look, it's the media picked up on it. It's nothing to. It's the sort of heat, the temperature of between the two camps, the tension between them, and it was unnecessary, and unfortunately it happened. Both have apologised about it, and hopefully it's over and done with, and we can focus on where the fight should take place, which is in the ring. This fight's a big fight anyway, as I said, the biggest fight of this century, no doubt about that.
And a quick word on Moses ITAUMA. He's obviously, when you signed him up, his son Francis has done a great job with him. Promised him 8 fights, and I think I was just looking earlier. He's got 8 fights in 12 months, which is very rare in boxing. He can deliver your promises, and he's been delivered.
But he needed that. Some fighters need the boxer. The reason you probably get 4, most guys having 4 fights now, is because when you sign them, it's the money they want. For me, excuse me, sometimes you can buy experience. So you take a little bit less money and have more fights. And if you do that, you're going to get there. You get there probably a little bit quicker to earn the really big money. But look, that's choices. That's what they have advisors and managers for. But Moses has listened, and what we've done with him is how we used to do it in the old days.
Definitely so. And then with regards to this Saturday, there's obviously going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. The 2 scenarios, if Tyson Fury wins, he becomes an absolute superstar. He already is, but I don't know how much more bigger he can get. But does he become the greatest of all time if he wins?
He becomes the greatest heavyweight of the century. No doubt about that. He's got 4 belts. And he's beaten the best of his generation in Klitschko. He's beaten statistically the hardest punching heavyweight out there. Twice, maybe 3 times, because it wasn't a draw. In Deontay Wilder, he's done everything that's been asked of him.
And then on the other end, if he, it's all right, I'll let you just sip on that water. On the other end, if he loses, you as a promoter, obviously you've been in these situations before when your top guy loses, you got to put your arm around him. How do you deal with that scenario if that happens? And obviously it's from past experiences.
Anything can happen in boxing. If he loses, and then it's going to be his choice whether he wants to initiate the rematch clause. That's really where we are with it. If he wants to retire, he'll retire.
And then there's also talk of UK versus USA cards. Obviously, currently it's Matchroom versus Queensbury, but could we see Queensbury versus Golden Boy or PBC? Is any of that kind of stuff in talks?
We will see what's happened. I mean, I can't even tell you at this moment because everything's developing so fast. And there's been so many connotations which have all been great for boxing. And let's get this big fight this weekend, and then we got the 5v5, which I'm really looking forward to on the 1st of June here in Riyadh. As I say, this is a brilliant time for boxing. This is a real renaissance for the sport, no doubt about that.
I just want to get a quick word on your son George. He stays behind the cameras. He obviously plays a big important role in everything you guys do, but he's chosen to just stay off camera and not be the guy in front. But I'm just curious, your father-son relationship, what's it like, when you're around the table discussing deals, etc. What kind of advice do you give him, and how's he kind of getting on in that role of being the next Frank Warren?
But my kids are doing really well, and he's not the next Frank Warren. He's George Warren, and Francis is Francis Warren. Francis is doing a brilliant job as a manager. George is very sensible. He got a very good education. He's got a degree in business, and he applies that and applies the business logic even more so than I did in my business or in my companies. He's very good at what he does, and he's got no ego. He just gets on with it, and I'm proud that everybody likes him as I do with Francis. They all like him because they're, what I missed when they were growing up, because most of the shows are on Saturdays with travellings and so forth. How turned on they were by all this boxing, because I didn't expect them to be in the sport. I didn't want them to be in the sport. I want them to do other things, but they love it, and what they do, they're very good at, both of them.
Growing up, obviously, every weekend you was at a boxing show. Did you miss a lot of time with them, and do you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, of course you do. But then that's what you do. You're a dad. You've got kids and the family, and you've got to go out and work and keep it. That's what you do. Where are you on Saturday nights? And where are you this week? That's what we have to do. We sacrifice things for our family, and that's life. And it's trying to strike the balance. And for me, I remember one year we did 42 shows in a year, which is a lot of shows.
That was a serious impact on your family, but at the same time, the success that's come with it.
My family's been very good, and your family's not just me. You've got a wife, and she's been a great mother to them, and we're a good family unit. We're very strong, our family as a unit. We always have been.
It's worth shouting out Mrs. Warren, because we never see her on camera, but there's obviously the husband and the 2 sons that are rocking it worldwide.
Well, I've got 4 sons and I've got 2 daughters, so they're all in their respectively what they do. They're very good at it.
Good to see. Last 2 questions. Your watch. I'm just curious what watch that is, because that's quite loud for Mr. Warren. What kind of watch is that?
I don't talk about things like that.
All right. Last one. Have you learnt any Arabic? You've done quite a few trips to Saudi Arabia.
I did, but I can't for the life of me at this moment think about it. You caught me on the hop.
Right, Mr. Warren. As always, I appreciate your time. I love talking to you.